Market turmoil is deepening. We have Deutsche Bank warning that global central banks do not have room to fight the crisis caused by the coronavirus. Now, the bank's global head of currency writing in a note, quote, policy failure is here. Joining me now, we have Anthony Chan, former JP Morgan Chase U.S. economist. And Anthony, when we take a look at what Deutsche Bank was saying just in terms of what the Fed and other central banks can do in order to fight the coronavirus crisis, do you think they have enough ammo at this point?
I think that at this point, nobody has enough ammo to do anything. But it is certainly helpful. And I think that if they didn't do anything, it'd be worse. It's sort of like if you have a fire in your kitchen, you call the fire department. And if it's serious, it's a multi-alarm fire. But that doesn't mean that on your way out, you don't use your little fire extinguisher that you bought at your local hardware store, because you got to do something. And that's what the central bank is doing. We need fiscal policy. We certainly need more expenditures to combat on the healthcare front. So this has to be a multi-alarm or all hands on deck situation.
Well, how badly do you think this will weigh on global growth this year, especially in the first half of the year? Because I know it's too early to tell. Number of confirmed cases are now above 100,000, but there's a serious risk there just in terms of global growth.
Oh, there's no question. I think we're going to be dancing with the possibility of a recession. I don't think we'll get it, but I think global economic growth can be very, very close to 2.5%. And as you know, the IMF says anytime it moves even close to 2.5 or lower, that means global recession. And I think that the countries, obviously, Europe is going to be under a lot of pressure. Japan is going to be under a lot of pressure. And even the U.S., I think we may be at risk of growing not more than 1% for the whole year.
Yeah, and if we do see that, obviously that is a huge cause of concern, something that investors are really going to take notice on. But what's interesting here is the volatility that we have seen in the market. So we've had several days of 1,000-point swings. And when we put that in perspective, that's not something, obviously, which is a good thing, that you see too often. But what do you think that tells us just in terms of what the average investor is feeling and how much fear there is in the market?
Well, I think all you have to do is look at the VIX index, which is called the so-called the fear gauge. And of course, today it's basically shooting up again. But if you look at the last 2 weeks of trading, almost on a net basis, after you look at the big jumps and the big declines, we're basically almost unchanged. So it really tells us that right now, the financial markets, which I think are the best indicator of what's likely to happen in the future, and it's the most real-time indicator, are basically unsure of what's going to happen. And that's why you see these big gyrations in both directions.
And then what do you think about today's jobs report? Obviously very strong, 273,000 jobs added in the month of February. But when we get that next report next month, when we talk about March, it could be a very different story because of the coronavirus.
Oh, that's clear. And that's certainly certain, because I think this was the calm before the virus hits type of report, because you saw very, very little sign of the coronavirus or COVID-19 showing up. Where did you see the transportation and warehousing? A little bit on the negative side. And of course, the positive ones that you saw was construction and leisure hospitality. Construction because of the warm weather. I am willing to bet almost everything I have that next month that leisure and hospitality number is going to be a lot weaker. It's not going to be up more than 50,000 like you saw this month.
Yeah, and that is a huge concern. That's what a lot of people are saying just in terms of what we could see next month.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.